On the docket tonight, the next live trial here on Court TV. Wow. Wow is all I have to say. The defendant is a writer, a novelist, and apparently wrote an essay, How to Murder Your Husband. And guess what? Of course, now she's accused of murdering her husband. Matt Johnson has the story.
The Wrong Lover, The Wrong Husband, and Hell on the Heart. These are the romance novels penned by Nancy Brophy. But did they become a script for murder? Nancy Brophy is accused of killing her husband, Dan.
We're given 4 dozen oysters to each team.
In this tribute video put together by the now-closed Oregon Culinary Institute, Dan, a chef instructor at the school, is seen helping his students. On June 2nd, 2018, students found his body covered in blood. He had been shot in the back and chest. They rendered aid, but were not successful. Nancy took to Facebook to mourn her husband's death. She wrote, "I have sad news to relate. My husband and best friend, Chef Dan Brophy, was killed. I'm struggling to make sense of everything right now." Nancy's neighbor, Susan List, reflects on her memory of the Brophies.
They kept to themselves, most of the neighborhood does, but from what we could see, it was just a normal neighbor.
The couple lived in this home less than 7 miles from downtown Portland. Susan says Nancy had a special place reserved in the house just for writing.
I didn't know she wrote so many books. I had an open house one time that we went and looked through the house, and it looked very nice, and she said, "This is where I write my books," and so it looked like a really nice little nook.
According to police, they had fallen behind in their mortgage. But Dan's life insurance payments were paid, and Nancy stood to inherit more than $1 million from his insurance and workers' compensation policies. Police canvassed the area around the culinary school where Dan worked. Surveillance video revealed a minivan similar to the one Nancy drove in the same neighborhood the same morning that Dan was killed. According to court documents, when asked by investigators, Nancy Brophy stated that she was at home all morning. A search of Nancy's computer revealed more suspicious activity. Police found evidence of gun part purchases from websites eBay and ghostguns.com. Detectives also discovered an eyebrow-raising article that she had written titled, How to Murder Your Husband. She starts the article by writing, "As a romance suspense writer, I spend a lot of time thinking about murder and consequently about police procedure." Her defense will likely argue that the article is tongue-in-cheek and not meant to be taken seriously. But the state prosecutor isn't joking. She's been charged with murder in the 2nd degree. Nancy Brophy maintains her innocence and has pled not guilty.
Okay, that's the next live trial here on Court TV. Let's bring back in our think tank, Kyla Coleman, Ian Freeman, Jonah Luzzi. Ian, she wrote an essay, How to Murder Your Husband. Her husband gets murdered. How are you getting out from under this one?
It's going to be a tough dig on this one. You know, the self-proclaimed romance novelist, and I hate to do this because I'm the defense counsel here.
I know.
I got to look at it for what it is. Vinny. There's some problems here. And sometimes when I'm before my juries, if I bring a piece of paper up, I tell them, look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm bringing this up here because I have to read because I don't want to forget anything. I'm going to use this piece of paper, and it's a long list, but I'll do a small part here. And then I think it'll answer itself as to whether we can dig out. The self-proclaimed romance novelist has now written How to Murder Your Husband, 10 Ways to Cover a Murder. She asked the police after this happened to give her a letter that she was not a suspect so that she could then collect the money, which, by the way, she was the insurance agent who wrote the policy for which she was then going to cash in. She also knew that if it happened on work grounds, she could get another $350,000 from workers' comp, which obviously he was killed on work grounds. The video that showed the shooter getting out of the vehicle came out of a minivan, same minivan that she drives on a daily basis. There's going to be a number of friends who come in the courtroom who are going to say, she told us about her life, how she wasn't quite so happy, and be careful what you ask for. If you're looking for a slow life, it's not what I want. I want to travel the world. And it goes on and on and on. So, Vinny, how do you dig your way out? Sometimes you got to call it like it is. This may not be one that can be dug out of. I hate to say it. It pains me as defense counsel. But this one here is a tough one.
Kyla, and he even left out the part where she's on ghostguns.com. Now,
right.
I don't think she's a ghost writer, so, you know, why? 71 years old? I mean, I think what she's probably going to say is, I was researching it for a book. It was just research.
That's exactly what's going to happen here. But you know what? I wouldn't be surprised that when she goes to jail and gets convicted, because she will, she'll write a novel from jail about jail life and how that's going, prison. But yeah, I mean, I don't know why people do Google searches or internet searches for crimes on your own computer. That's not going to fly. Every single time they're going to subpoena records from your computer.
Wait, not so loud. Not so loud. Well, actually, we don't have criminals watching this show. We have upstanding citizens. That's our demo. That's who watches Closing Arguments every night. Joan, do prosecutors have to? She's 71 years old, so you know she's going to come across as not your typical murderer. So I guess you really, really got to try this case to the max, because the jury's not going to presume that a 71-year-old woman is going to kill her husband.
This is no ordinary 71-year-old woman. This woman I have to give some kudos to, because to be able to obtain the necessary parts to Hollanderize her own gun and make it a ghost gun to shoot her husband is no easy feat. You have to know exactly which parts to buy, the measurements. You have to be able to assemble that at home. That is not easy. I bet this woman, who has done tons of research on police procedure, left her cell phone at home so that her cell sites would not have her at the place of the murder. I'm going to make an educated guess that she thought that much about it. But her van outside, of course, she probably just didn't think about, or didn't think that there was a camera there. I think that she's extremely clever. I agree with my colleagues that she is, looking extraordinarily guilty. I one time had a guy who killed somebody in his home and then was Googling how to get rid of a dead body. So people do it all the time. I don't know how it is they make that mistake, but they do.
Yeah, and sometimes a smoking Google is even more powerful than a smoking gun inside the courtroom. When we come